That's my dad.
All right, this Taj Mahal, Uncontrolled Substance TV.
And your boy JoePro973. We back with another VID, you heard?
We got Lonzo here. Welcome him on our platform.
What's going on, Lonzo? How you doing, man? Glad you can make it.
Man, I'm glad to be here, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. So I think we'll start because you have the movie, the highly anticipated threequel, coming out on April the 10th and April the 11th. So y'all go to Eventbrite to get y'all tickets.
Yes.
Yeah, y'all go on down to Eventbrite, get y'all tickets for that because it's going to be a movie.
You got to pop out. You got to pop out.
Absolutely. You definitely got to pop out to show some support because, the brother Lonzo, he been putting on for the city. And we're going to talk about the movie, but first, let's get into a little bit about your background and, how you was raised and where you came up at and things of that nature. So I guess what was your earliest memories of, being a kid coming up in Newark, if that's where you're from?
Yeah. Born and raised in Newark. It's crazy because I do have a good memory.
Okay.
And I remember when I wrote my first book called Living with No Regrets.
Yeah.
And it's about it's about four guys growing up in the projects where I was born and raised and grew up in Dayton Street.
Okay.
And then in late 89, 88, the project started being torn down.
Yeah.
So we moved from there. Then we moved over to the north side, the Stephen Crane Village.
Oh, okay.
So then, I did my rest of my years there. But those were good times, man. It was like, the community. Everybody knew each other in the projects.
Absolutely.
Families looked out for each other when your parents wasn't around. It was just a warm feeling. Even though we came from poverty,
okay,
and everybody didn't have a lot of money, but we made the best of it, man.
Yeah, and I feel like in those days and eras, we didn't even really know that we didn't really have money, but everybody was, helping each other out. You can go over here, eat. You can, go
Absolutely.
over. Like my big mom, she gonna open the door for your friends. She gonna definitely feed them. So I definitely can relate to that.
And none of that is going on right now. Like that's a problem.
Well, I mean, I'll push back a little bit because there are some of those same core values out there. It is kind of few and far in between, but I always like to say that I feel like it's definitely way more good people in the world that's doing things than there are the other side that gets glamorized and glorified. But
I hear you.
Other than that, so how was your home structure? Like, did you have moms there and pops there?
Yeah, so my
Siblings?
mother, both of my parents was young. My
Okay.
mother was 16 when she had me, and my father, he was 17. And my mother, coming from a family of sisters and brothers about 6, she didn't want to become another statistic, another welfare raising me, so she went to the army.
Okay.
So my mother went to the army. She did about 20 years, and my father went to the army. He did about 2 years, but he came back, and he pretty much raised me.
Okay.
So the structure was, my father was that martial artist growing up in the projects, and so he gave me that structure, though. He gave me that the ability to know how to cook, clean for myself, fend for myself when he was at work, and that's what made me the man that I am today.
Okay, yeah, that's what's up. And so I feel like that's definitely a different dynamic because we rarely hear of a situation where dad is the one that's kind of raising.
It's usually the mother, the strong black woman.
Yeah, so my father was that forefront mentor, not just for me, but my father had karate school, so he was like, a lot of my friends still today be like, yo, how your father doing?
Yeah.
Before they even ask about me. So he was that figure. He was that person that allowed other kids to come over our house when we traveled. When we went to Disney World,
okay,
we took other kids with us. We went on camping trips. So, that's what, like you said, it's around, but it's not enough here.
Exactly.
And that's what Jersey, tri-state area, and our black communities, we need that. We need to know who you living next to, who behind you, who's above you. So we don't have that. We don't have that unity no more.
Yeah, 1,000%. I definitely do agree that the fabric of that has deteriorated a little bit, but we all got to pitch in and we got to play our helping part to kind of try to create that and enforce that in our communities. But I guess it was good to have a father that was a martial artist. And so did he have his school at that point in time when you was young and coming up, or?
Yeah. When we moved over to Stephen Crane, he opened up his first school out on Bloomfield Avenue.
Okay.
And then he wound up expanding down to on Branford Place on top of the old Adams movie theater.
Oh, wow.
So, we had like 2 schools going on, and then he was like sub teaching at other for the schools and stuff like that, and the housing authority. So, karate was big coming up doing that. It was either you was boxing or you was doing karate,
And then I can imagine during that time when the movies would come out, y'all would come out of the movies, after seeing all the little kung fu flicks and everything, and y'all was just going in, but y'all had like a real skill set to back it up, though.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was like, instead of being, want to be Superman or Batman, everybody had either Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris or Jim Kelly. You just wanted those, on Channel 5 on Saturdays, used to have the kung fu flicks come on from 12 to 5. So, it was just an era where more physical activity was going on versus today. Like, my son missed out on that.
Exactly.
All he know is, we played, when we came home from school, we played kickball, manhunt. We played all different types of wiffle ball. Now, they
in the
used
Robux.
that.
They trying to string like they doing all that type of stuff.
It's a different era.
Yeah, it's definitely a different era.
So what I want to ask you is, how involved was you into the karate?
Oh, I ain't had no choice, man. 3 days a week. It's plus Saturdays. I had to be at the school. And at first, I hated doing it because I was forced to do it. But as I got older, I was great at it, like competing wise. Like, I was very good at it. And actually, when I got into the filmmaking, that was like, some of my other projects called the Fearless 1, Fearless 2, Fearless 3 was based on the martial arts experience that we
Oh yeah, so I didn't even know that your catalog was that extensive. So I gotta double back and check those joints out too.
Yeah. Our last one we did, we just had Timac from The Last Dragon.
Okay,
Films 3, so it was a good experience. He's one of the guys that I looked at coming up. Everybody was a fan of The Last Dragon.
1000%.
Yeah.
Show enough.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was the wave though. And so, like, what belt did you make it up to? Like, how far did you go to?
I got my black belt.
Oh man. Oh, so you lethal. So what that mean? You got to register your hands and everything then, huh?
I don't know about register your hands, but it's funny. One time,
so that's like an urban myth.
I remember one time back in '96.
Okay.
I just graduated from high school, and me and my roommate, we was dating. He was messing with this girl right there on Clinton Street in East Orange. So
that's where they be at. Yeah. I'm trying to tell you.
I remember no lie, it's a true story. We just got finished watching Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
Just watching it, and we was about to head home, and there was a little snow outside. So I'm at the door like, yo, come on, let's go. But I'm looking outside the window. I see a guy coming out the car like this. I say, yo, Stan, somebody taking your car. So I open up the door. We run after him. He runs. He hits the house. He jumped the gate. I jumped the gate. Yeah. I grab him.
Wow.
And we caught him. We tore him up. And then we let him go. Okay. Police came.
Yeah.
So I told the cop. The cop came there and said, anybody had any weapons? And I was like, he tried to fight back. I struck him. And something said, I said, yeah, I know how to protect myself, martial arts. He said, oh, yeah? You better hope we don't find them. It'd be no problem.
Yeah.
And I was like, he just he tried to steal the money.
Exactly. Why is you on me?
But then I realized that was what you could say, like your hands are registered and stuff like that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's real dope, though, being able to defend yourself in that type of manner, because when I was coming up, it was always those guys that kind of maybe, their moms or their pops may have had them in some type of school or something, the dojo. Yeah. My cousin, he was actually really invested into that stuff as we was younger as well. But, so that running with the officers, I guess having a dad who was military based and a mom who was military based, that kind of kept you on a straight and narrow path to where as though you didn't get into much trouble, am I assuming? Or
you know what, I stay, a lot of my friends just like, damn, as strict as your father is, and like you stay in trouble. I don't know, because maybe I stayed in trouble, I was always on punishment, so when when I got loose a little bit, I was. Everybody said I was a different person around my father.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just basically because of the structure. First
that's
of all,
natural, though.
you know, you gotta fear. You should fear. I think everyone should fear their parents to a degree. You know, it keeps you in line. But it kept me the respect level. I know certain, even to this day, like I had to tell my son a couple years ago, we went away, and you know, he had his girl. You know, I'm a grandfather now, so you know, he cursed around me, and I had to say, look, Lonzo, you know, I want us to be cool, but remember,
Not
I'm
that
your
cool.
father. You know, I'm your father first, because even when I go around my parents, I don't curse. That won't come out.
I come from that cloth too. It took me a minute. I started cursing around my father when I was like maybe about 30, 32 or so. But it hit. It's something, we passed that threshold with something to where I just got it off. And then from there, I just felt comfortable cursing around. But until then, I never cursed around. Or my mother, she might have heard me cursing, like talking on the phone with one of my homies or somebody, but I never cursed, like talking to her, or I'm just cut from that cloth. But now, it's different.
Yeah, the generation is different, man.
Definitely different,
and it's because, you know, they allow it. You know, like, you know, some parents, they allow it, and
one thing that you did say, not to cut you off, was that, you know, speaking of Lonzo Jr., was like, I want to be cool with you, but not too much of your friend.
True.
And I think that's kind of where the separation
And that's what we
is
need.
today.
That's what's missing.
Because that's what's going on today. Like a lot of the you know, the mothers, the females, you know, they daughter 16, 15, the mother like 40, and it's like, it's more like a competition. Who look better? Who still got the body wise? So they go shopping together, and it's like, you know, they want to be friends. The mother want to be the friend instead of being the parent. And you know, when you try to discipline them, then they kind of check you, like. And it's like, nah, because you let your guard down.
Exactly.
You can't be like that. You got to always know, I'm always your parent, but first.
And I will say, I wasn't even familiar with that dynamic, because, like, I see a lot of it online, and but like having a parent who's actually in competition with you, that got to be some of the craziest shit ever.
Yeah.
Like, but you know what? I do notice that the mothers and the parents or the fathers, they're much closer to the age of their kids than we were.
Yeah,
so
you got to think about it. You
might,
got young grandfathers. Young grandmothers.
I know grandmothers that ain't 35 yet. You feel me? So that's crazy.
Okay, that's what's up. So you had hands. You know, they wasn't really messing with you. They wasn't trying you too much. But what was your school? The school that you was going to at that point in time, or did you kind of move around?
So, you know, younger years, I was started out at Dayton Street. Then I moved to North Newark. I went to Abington Avenue School. That was a public school. So I had in 5th grade, I had gotten into a fight with a Hispanic kid.
Okay.
And I kicked him in the face. So they somehow, the Abington told me that I had to leave that school, and I wasn't allowed to go back to public school. So my father put me in private school then. And
that's not good either.
Yeah, so I got to private school. I went to St. Michael's, and you know, one of my best friends, he became Puerto Rican at the time. He was Puerto Rican at the time.
I'm about to say, how he became Puerto Rican, like he
was Puerto Rican,
good.
And so come to find out, we was in class one day, and you know, I don't know if it was just me. I was the only black kid that noticed it, but I seen the teacher. You know, she came in and took his pen. And she walked up, and he said, "Give me back my pen." So it was like kind of weird. Like, wait a minute. She came and took his pen from him. She walked back to his desk, and he said, "Give me back my pen." And she said, "If you want to, come and get it." And she had it right here.
Wow.
And he walked up to her and took his fingers, went inside her breast, pulled out the pen, and walked back to his desk. So I'm looking at the class like, anybody just see what I see?
Yo.
So after class, I'm like, yo, we walk home from school. I'm like, yo, you such and such got something going on.
Boy.
And he said,
either she wanted him or she had him.
Something wasn't right.
Yeah, so he was like, man, what
that.
you talking about? And I'm like, man, I saw what happened, and that ain't rare coming from where I come from.
Exactly.
So come to find out, man. Short story. She was. It was a thing between them, and the whole school had kind of left there. So I bounced around, went to St. Rocco's, and then
Hold up. Let me stop you right there. I went to St. Rocco's.
Okay, I went to St. Rocco's.
Paul met
Paul
met Pleasant, Miss Brown, all
Sotos.
Yeah, the Sotos.
Sotos, yeah.
I know all them. I know all them.
Yeah. You know, rest in peace, Mr. D. He gave me
Mr.
He gave me a
Decina.
chance. He gave me a chance.
He used to walk around with them hockey sticks, beating back in the day. You can hit kids, but he was something different. Like he walked around.
So he was Joe Clark on 10.
Yeah, and he was this little Italian dude.
Yeah.
And like he just had this thing about beating black kids with a hockey sticks. R.I.P. to him though.
Wow.
Yeah. St. Rocco's was definitely a different experience, man, because it was more like a urban black private school.
Yeah.
So, but it was structured. It was like, you had some real teachers. It had some incidents there as well, but at the end of the day, it was a good school. So I bounced around. Then we wound up moving. My father bought a house in Springfield, New Jersey.
Okay.
So that's when the change came. That's when the
That was
dynamics.
like moving on up right there, kind of.
Yeah, you say moving on, but it was different.
In that era, though.
In that era,
especially
yeah.
because
Definitely.
I'm quite sure the ratio of us to them at that point in time had to be. I mean, it's a lot more spaced out now, and it's kind of like a more balanced area. But I'm quite sure back then, in those times, it was kind of like you may have been like one of the only black families on the block. Possibly.
Yeah, it was definitely, it was like wasn't too many blacks there, and it was funny because a lot of blacks that was up there, every black family that moved up there, they moved us to they called it the square.
Oh,
it was like you lived in this radius square block.
So if you was black in Springfield, you was right there in that location.
So we gonna let you come, but redlining is still
Right
official.
there.
We gonna keep you in this
Jim Crow right here.
Yeah. But it was a great experience, man.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to do that for my son, but if you're not a strong-minded person, you could fall to victim, because as much as we look at those lifestyles that they got the big houses with the pools and on the weekends the parents is away, they pool parties, football team in there and all that, but the drugs is crazy. Like they cocaine,
they experimenting heavy.
heroin.
Don't think that just because
year.
Springfield is still lit with all the drugs, but it's hardcore and they got money out there to blow it and get right.
And then you got those that they look at our lives. We want their lifestyle because we coming from nothing.
Exactly.
You see the big houses. When they turn 17, they get the BMW cars.
They get a car,
but they want to be us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They want to take me down to Newark.
Listen to the music.
Yeah.
That's still going on right now.
Yeah, it still is. And then you got to understand too. Like a lot of people that I graduated with, they inherit what they had, so they don't know how to appreciate it.
They didn't work for it.
They didn't work for it. So it's a difference. A lot of them didn't mount out to anything.
Yeah,
they just living off their parents, or some of them hung it up. I know a couple who hung it up before because depression, man. Parents did, like in our household.
Yeah.
Like I remember my father, he come in like, there's no closed doors around here.
Yeah.
Like ain't no in their household. Hey Johnny,
do
you
anything.
okay?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm all right, Mom. But you don't know what that kid
You
going
don't
through.
know what they doing.
We had to sit down at the table, eat dinner.
Look them in the eyes.
Look in the eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
They ate from their room. Parents was always so busy, never into, and they was getting a lot of them girls that I went to school with was getting raped by the football team because they got high. They ran trains on them. Wouldn't speak about it. It's a lot of stuff that's going on. Depression. Peer pressure, not being cool.
Wanting to fit in.
Yeah, wanting to fit in.
So you're just doing things, just to feel accepted. But that was a kind of a good point that you did make as far as, people who kind of was inherited with things. They ain't had to work for it,
True.
so they don't know the struggle.
Yeah.
And we got to try to find that balance, because naturally as a parent, you want to give your kid these things. But you kind of, you don't want them to struggle, but that kind of builds character.
Exactly.
And that's one of my regrets. Like, I raised my son myself. Like, it was like a repeated situation.
Oh, so you
with
took
mine.
after your pops.
Yeah, like, me and his mother didn't work out. We got divorced early, and I took custody of my son. My son was at the time like 1.5 years old.
Okay.
And I raised him,
Yeah.
and I gave him everything that he wanted. I always wanted to work hard where that he asked me for something that I could say, we don't have it, we can't. But then I realized as he got older that entitlement, he was enabled to the point that he can't fend for himself like I did. To the point where, he don't got no money. Pop send me a couple dollars. Like, it's the respect level is so different now. It's like, I don't even, before, we got to go in there, Dad, I want to go here, can I have a couple dollars?
Humbly
they want to text you,
Exactly.
Can you cash at me? Can you, and you don't want to say no, but at the same time, it's a bad structure.
I gotta say that I'm guilty of spoiling my daughter, but is it wrong for you to really want to spoil your kid?
But it's nuanced though, because you want to give them things, but you don't want to rob them of those capabilities to be able to figure things out and accept those challenges. Like
I would just say, not to cut you off, I would just say make her work for it, make her earn. Like one of the things, like I had to cut the grass, I had to rake the leaves, I had to walk the dogs day and night, I had to clean my room. My son didn't do that. I had a person come clean our house every other week.
That's the disconnect right there.
Not taking out the garbage, not wash dishes, of course, the norm, but earn his chores. Even if it was grades, you do this, I do that. Because when they don't earn it, they're gonna feel entitled. And God bless you and your daughter to the point where when you're not here, who's she gonna rely on? Who's she gonna run to?
Exactly.
Because that's how we grew up. We see the girls, they see the guys with the money. Hey, I do this. What you doing back for it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's a challenging situation because I guess the word is like the maternal instinct of a parent. We want to give to our kids, but overall, it's not a good thing. And so, you need to cut.
Yeah, I need to go right. I'll be like 4 minutes. Okay. As far what was high school life? What was high school life compared to your elementary? Like, I know you mentioned you was going to St. Rocco's and all that. What high school you went to?
I did my freshman year at St. Benedict's.
Okay.
So I got into St. Benedict's. It was crazy because being at an all boys school, it was so much going on. Like my whole freshman year, we was like coming from Rocco's. It was a couple kids came from Rocco's, a couple kids from other urban 14th Avenue, Bergen Street, South Orange Avenue. So our freshman class was the worst class of all. We were so bad. We called ourselves. We had a little group called Special Ed. Well, we had we were just like popping off on people, man. Yeah. And I remember it was a fight that broke out in the lunchroom with a senior and a freshman kid, and this senior jumped on the table in front of this kid and was trying to flex on him. Man, we grabbed this leg up and we swapped him and we tore him up, and we got so much stain out of that. But also, I got kicked out of St. Benedict's too.
You sound like me. Well, I want to ask you, St. Rocco's, you think you can name off maybe a couple of names? Maybe I can identify what class you was in.
Tahir White. Tahir White was in Tahir Green. Terrence Soto.
All right, Terrence Soto. Okay.
Brad.
All right.
Brad
went to Benedict.
Yeah, Brad.
He was the dancing. Yeah. He used to be dancing and all. You knew Donnie? Donnie.
Light-skinned Donnie with the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else went to Rocco's? My man Tawan Benson.
All right, yeah. So you was a couple years
Walter
older than me.
I graduated. If I were to graduate, I would graduate in '96. So I came here in '93.
Okay. Oh, so you still kind of young then. So
yeah.
No. All right. So you switched me up. So you graduated in '96. I'm older than you.
You definitely not older than him because he's older than me. He graduated 2 years before me, and I'm a year older than you.
See, you know what? I get it mixed up because 8th grade was my last year I graduated, so I don't even.
So what year you was at Benedict's then?
I never went. I was supposed to go to St.
So you was
Benedict's
at Rocco's. So
I went to Rocco, and because St. Benedict's was an all-boys school, I opted out, and I went to Good Counsel.
Oh,
so I went to Good Counsel,
yeah.
and I balled there for maybe a half a year because I went on I was balling
So
from Rocco.
this is the question. Who was your teacher at St. Rocco's? When you was there?
Hold on. All right, so I went all the way through kindergarten to age.
So you went through school.
I went to Miss Smith, Miss Giles.
My 8th grade teacher was Miss Jones. Mr. Byrne was there.
I remember Mr. Burrow died from AIDS.
All of them pretty much died. Mr. Melton.
Mr. Melton. I think Mr. D was in the loop.
Now, was you there when Nick Sean, Sabrina?
Nick Sean. I remember because the West Side, St. Rocco's, running the side block. Yeah, Anthony Moultrie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the West Side was.
My partner was Arthur.
You saw Art Christopher. That's my big bro. I'm from 14th Ave, 14th
Okay,
Street.
so Art took me under his belt. Everybody was Art.
All right, so Art was the goon.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
goon.
Art was the goon. Reek, Jimmy Christopher, that's Art's little brother. He was in my class.
That was my family. That was my family with them.
I used to be staying over in our house.
Okay.
So I used to be over there. And Art used to have the slammers on the dresser and all that. Yeah. And he was young. He was about 15. 14 or something right there. You know what I mean? So, but I was just trying to figure out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But St. Benedict's and me and you kind of got a similar story because I got kicked out. I was fighting in Good Counsel, and then I went to Irvington High. And wound up getting kicked out of Irvington High, fighting and all that. Right? So when you got kicked out of St. Benedict's, what you do from there?
That's when it was a transition when my father bought the house in Springfield. So when we got to Springfield, he asked me, what did you do? So I said, I want to go to regular school. I want to go to public school. Yeah. And I wound up going there, and that's when life started to change for me. That's when I experienced being around a lot of Jewish, Italian, Filipino people. So, I was going around with the kids. This is the stuff that we see in the movies, Animal House, the house party stuff. And it was like, wow. So, now you got the white girls liking you, and you like, you got someone that stayed with them. And I did. I wanted to dating a white girl up there, but her parents was like,
"Wasn't really
this ain't that."
Hey,
yeah,
you came to the house, they like, "Ooh, the
So then the drugs, like I'm coming from Newark, about the weed, cocaine, and dope. Now, ecstasy, and you hearing about tabs, and it was so crazy. Like if they couldn't get their hands to that. Limelight was big in the city at the time. Okay. So if you couldn't get those drugs, like people was going to Quick Check. They was buying getting high for aspirin, man, Vibrance and stuff like that. So it was just crazy. I had a friend of mine like sophomore year was shooting heroin. And it's crazy. I still ask people like, "Yo, what happened to John? Like, what is he still around? Did he get hooked up? Because the drugs was big in the school. Sex was big. Like I said, it was like the football team smashing. The crew. It was real, man. But it was a good experience. Racism. I had a one parent called a bunch of us niggas out there one time. Ooh. And but we had a principal. He was Puerto Rican and he was from Newark.
Okay.
So he stood the ground for us. He stood the ground. But even the cops, like, people looked at me like I was like the Frank Lucas of Springfield. Yeah. They was watching me on. I'm like,
when they was really doing all the hardcore drugs and all that.
Yeah, like and but it was a good experience. It really prepared me for the real world. When I got into the real world, and I started meeting different people, learn how to talk, how to turn on that switch and off that switch, it became real for me. Because you go to the best schools in Newark, you around either majority black or Hispanics.
Exactly.
But when you get up into those other schools, the Caucasians, the
that melting pot,
Philippines,
yeah.
oh man, it's all Asian.
And I do kind of feel like being around or having that diversity, like you said, is helping you in the real world because you got to deal with other people than only but just us.
True.
Like, so in my high school, well, it was a lot of Spanish because I went to North Tech, but I guess it was a little bit of everything in there. But as I'm older now and I'm working in these places, I'm going in these stores, I got to deal with everybody.
True.
Like, it could be a white dude, it could be a Hispanic lady, it could be somebody from Argentina, like anywhere, like, but you still have to be able to relate to these people, talk to these people, and yeah, I do feel like being around that coming up, it definitely helps out because some people don't even really experience that, and it's such of a culture shock when they actually get around these people. They don't even know how to act or move, but they people just like us.
Yeah, because if you didn't know, if you don't see it, people be thinking, oh, they think they better than us, when really they don't think. And some of them, they know they not better than us. They just had opportunities. Like I said, you learn the family structures where like their grandfather started something and they inherited it. And some of them, the parents, they carried it, they learned it, but then when the kids our age got it, they messed it up because they, you can't if you don't know how to appreciate. Like I didn't appreciate credit at then. We go to the mall, we get that first Macy credit card, you go get you a polo shirt, you like, I got over because I ain't got to pay it.
Exactly.
They teaching their kids, pay that if it's $20, $5, or they adding their kids on their credit cards, but by the time you're 18,
they grown, they
credit already established.
Like,
exactly, to go get loans or whatever the case may be. You learn to see the home structures are different. Like we go out and bust our butt for Gucci, Louis, and all this. Yo, these kids, Jewish kids, wore the same holy jeans every day. Shoes, raggedy as hell. Yeah, they got a nice house. They might drive a decent car. But they wasn't into. They not caught. They not. We making them rich. We made Timberland who we are. We made Polo and him Tommy Hilfiger who they are.
They take that into their adulthood and then they pocketing that change.
They pocketing. They don't care what they wear.
And they going to go get
the
property that's next to you.
Exactly.
They fuck around and be your landlord.
They rented to you.
They going up on a rent. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so that is definitely how it's going.
We want to be the cool kid. They not trying to be the cool kid like that. They trying to be like this.
Yeah. And so that's kind of like, it's kind of like embedded in our culture. Like you said, we like the clothes, we like this, and
we a culture that spend more than save. That's just what it is.
But we introduce it to the kids early on.
Exactly.
Like you're saying, it's the structure of teaching them about credit. You're probably taking them into the bank, establishing a checking account with them, so they're learning how to do deposits at a 5-year-old age or something like that. And so what we doing is we getting them Jordans, we getting them this leather jacket at 6 years old. You need a leather jacket at 6 years old?
When you think about it, the positions that we put in, that we got to deal with, is different from the people that's better. They better off.
But that should make us
exactly.
More so into.
But we're putting ourselves more behind the 8 ball by living that kind of lifestyle that we can't.
It's our spending and it's our discipline. But I mean, there are lots of us that are doing. You know what I mean?
And then when you can't get it, what you gonna do? You're gonna rob, steal. You're gonna sell your body. You're gonna degrade yourself just to stay above.
Just to maintain, to keep up with the Joneses.
Exactly.
Okay. And so the high school was kind of crazy. So the high school that you describing, it seems 100x of Westside, or maybe what one of our schools was, but being as though it was in their school, they didn't get the coverage, and they probably got good test scores. So whoop-de-doo for them. But where did you go for college? Did you go to college? Or
So
you went straight to
I was talking college. My mother was living in Virginia at the time, and she wanted me to come down there to go to school. I had no desire to ever leave. I had no desire to leave Jersey. I felt like I was known here. I was popular here.
Yeah.
I wanted to be here. Okay. So my father was like, I remember high school wasn't no ride in the park for me. Like I stayed in summer school. Yeah. And I was like, damn. So I graduated, and I was like, I wound up registering at King College.
Okay.
And then I had ran into a little bit of money, and my father was like, well, he hit me with the bullshit, like, oh, well, you played for your first semester. If you maintain the 2-point average, we'll pay you back. I'm like, you ain't got no money like that. You're not gonna pay me back. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay. I had about like 20 grand I had ran into from an accident.
Okay.
So I was like, good. But I'm gonna start in the fall. That's why I registered. So this is the first summer. 18 years old, want to join my summer. So my father come home and said, look, you're not gonna be just here and just not doing. You're gonna start school now, or you're not gonna be here. Yeah. I was like, damn. So I was like, off to the streets then. Yeah. I left.
You got the bread. No.
I left. I got my own. I left. I came back to where I knew where I wanted to be. Because I was always trying to run down to Newark on the weekends. I was always still running down to Newark. Exactly. Being stay with my aunt.
That's where the fun is at.
That's where the fun is at. You know what I'm saying? The
cousins,
man, the girls.
Around, the shorties.
I used to catch like 3 buses just to go see this girl up in Orange. You know what I'm saying? But those was fun times, man. Like catching the bus wasn't. It was like what? Okay, all right. Exactly. Let me hop on the 24. So. I wound up moving. I got my first apartment in Irvington with my roommate, and we were just out here, man. We just out here trying to live life and trying to, figure it out. Just trying to figure it out.
So at that time, what kind of was you doing for money? Was it like little odd jobs here and there, or
just living off the money I had?
Living off the money you had for a while.
Living off the money I had, and just out here. Skating back then was our thing. So used to be up at 22. Heavy.
Yes, sir.
On the weekends and. Just out here, just chilling, man, hanging out in the projects. Yeah. Just chilling, just trying to be the man. But it kind of got corny to me a little bit. Yeah. It came a little cornier. Like I just felt like my life was meant more than that. And then met a girl who wound up having a real first relationship with, and falling in love, and and wound up wanted to have a child, and I always knew I wanted to have a son early. Yeah. So when I felt comfortable enough to have one, say she got the baby, we had it, and that's when the reality came in. Like, what are you going to do?
I got to do something.
I got to do something. Yeah. So I wound up meeting one of my friends from high school. His father was into politics. Okay. And he worked under Sharp James, and he told me, he said, listen, he's like, it's election year. You come help out the campaign. I'd be able to help you get you a city job. And I just took it, and he kept his word.
That was the alley-oop right there.
Yeah, because back then, I'm not sure how coveted they are now. I assume they probably still are. But shit, a city job, you good. Like,
it was like, you think about you get you some benefits. Yeah. You work Monday to Friday. So I wound up, got into that. Remember my first job was was a sanitation inspector. Mm-hmm. And then I wound up becoming a code enforcement officer. And then I took the test to be a cop. Okay. And so, how did you, who pulled your coattail to that? It was just like one day you woke up like, fuck it, let me take the cop test? Or No. So, I never had, everything I've done in my life, I never had a desire to do. I never dreamed about it, never planned it. It just happened. So It was a guy that came. It was funny because I was doing parties. Yeah. I was doing parties since high school too. That was another thing that made me popular. Where my father was like, it's a lot of entrepreneurs and the hustlers in our family. Yeah. So I wanted to start renting a spot called the Clinton Manor on 22, and I felt like if I was popular, we used to just hitting all the schools and charging like $5 to come out. And I was like, that helped me get the clothes that my parents couldn't get, my father couldn't afford to get. Exactly. Yeah, that wouldn't buy it. Okay. Because you buy some sneakers and you ain't know when your next pair of new sneakers is coming. So I started doing that, and then in '98. I was still doing, adult parties and stuff like that, college parties, whatever you want, kind of when Sharp had owned the club, Millennium, and DJ Quad. He was my DJ back in Irvington. We
know DJ Quad.
Yeah. So he was DJing for me for years. But I met this guy. He came home from jail, man. He came home from jail, and he told me his name was Ali. And so we started kicking it. This lady introduced. She said, I want you to meet my boss. He had an office up on Evergreen Place. my grandfather had an office up on Evergreen Place, so I went up there and came in there. Big guy, 6 foot guy came in there, muscular. So he was like, I hear you do parties and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah. So he was like, listen, man, I got $100,000 to play with. We could lock down. We was doing brokers at the time.
Okay.
He was like, I was like, I got to connect the DJs and artists and whatever. So he was like, all right, well, you ain't got to put out your money no more. So I was like, all right. So I remember I brought Quad to the meeting, to the second meeting. So when me and Quad left, Quad was like, yo, Zo, I know you, I know your family, but I know that dude. He was like, yo, you don't want to get in bed with him. And I'm like, why you say that? He like, yo, because he don't play with his money. Yeah. So I was like, huh? He was like, yeah, I'm telling you, it's not gonna work out. So I'm hard headed, like, fuck it, because I'm like, I don't do bad business. Yeah. Long as I'm straight up, he's straight up, exactly. We gonna be good.
We gonna bubble.
So we did this black affair. We said we're gonna do this black affair. Brokers booked it out. We promoting it. People buying tickets. Mm-hmm. I know he just came home. A lot of we was testing each other out because he wanted to know who I knew. I'm asking him who he knew, but I never knew what he was in for.
Exactly.
So we did this party at Brokers, right? We doing this party promoted. So right the week before the party, that weekend, I wound up having to go to Virginia to go see my mother. My mother got sick, so I said I'm going down to see my mother. So I called him like, yo, Ali, let's meet up. Let's get this ticket money in so we can know squared away. So he was like, basically, look, man, I just got home. I'm trying to, catch up on something. So I'm like, all right, just get with me. So came that Friday before I left. He was like, yo, I'll see you when you get back. I was like, all right, boom. Party was a big success. Everybody came out, old school cats, that knew him because he was older than me. Yeah. And so I got back. I'm down Seth Borton now. I got down Seth Borton talking to a couple of brothers, and he pulled up on the side of me. So basically, he was like, yo, man, where those tickets at that you're at? So I was like, I got them at the crib. So he got out the car to talk to me. I felt that energy, like something ain't right. And, knowing them arts, I said something about to happen. And he came, he was like, yo, so where that? So I went to turn, but I felt him. And he went to swing at me. And he missed. Yeah. And when he did that, I looked at the door. And he went to open up the door. I kicked him with the door. And everybody from the set board like came in and spread us. Yeah. And they was like, yo, chill, Zoe from here, you know what I'm saying? Mm. They was like, so my cousin was like, yo, the people like, yo, you know who that is? I'm like, yeah, it's a nigga named Ali. Like, he could get it. I'm going, they was like, nah, man, that's his name Money Spence. He used to be a hitman.
Yeah. We don't care about none of that.
So I'm like, what? So now I'm trying to keep the composure and shit. So he like, yeah, man. So, I was like, yo, he was like, how you want to handle it? So I said, you handle it that way. He's like, I just came from Prince Street. We got AKs in the black. I'm like, so we I was like, all right, whatever, man. So he left and he called me. So he was like, you good? I was like, nah, I ain't good. He was like, so how you want to handle it? I said, he was like, yo, meet me back down there tomorrow. So I was like, all right, cool. That's me at the same spot. But everybody's calling me now. Everybody like, yo, you want money? And I'm like, money? Who the fuck is money? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they started telling me, give me the rundown on them. Yeah. But we met. And we sat there and talked, and he was just like, yo, man, I looked at you like a little brother. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, yo, bro, I don't scaffold. Somebody was out in the club scaffolding tickets. Oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? He thought it was you. He thought it was me. I was like, bro, I don't need to do that. Like, come on, man. Like, I got status out here. People know me. You know what I'm saying? So we wound up, and he became like, yeah, bro, like, it made our relationship even closer. He was like the big bro. Now I know, like, this nigga, like, everybody know him. Everybody know who he is. Like, everybody scared of him, too. So, but anyway, man, he was the one that kept saying, listen, man, you don't need to be out here. He was like, I see something more in you, man. Go be a cop or something like that. And hearing it from him was like, all right, here go a street nigga, did 10 years, for drugs and all that. And he telling you, go do the right thing. He said, listen, man, it's a lot of us that will want to be a cop. Yeah. He said, but our jacket's so fucked up. He said, just don't let that shit change you. And about a couple months later, he got killed. He got murdered down on Lyons Avenue. And it was crazy because I was on Lyons Avenue when it happened. Yeah. And that's what made me go and take the test to be the cop. Okay. And I always kept that with me. I keep his name alive. I made sure, his son was good. But you know, at the end of the day, he was the mentor that pushed me. So that's when I started telling people, you don't have to be a politician, you don't have to be a person, a judge or lawyer. It was somebody from a street level that pushed me to do right. And I ran with that. And
that's dope, man, because when you have a person who's actually been through that struggle, they done been down. They done did that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They pushing
exactly, pushing positivity on you. Like, that's some commendable shit. And I feel like you gotta be a complete blind asshole to not really look at that and accept that and at least try to see it through.
Especially where it's coming from, that's very important.
Yeah.
So if somebody that been through the struggle, the fire, and he tell you,
because he got burnt. He got burnt. Whatever he did, he was going for 10 joints.
Exactly.
And he just realized that his lifestyle, like he said, man, I heard a motherfucker my money in, right? Like I live and die out here. So he knew what his purpose and what he was out here, but he saw something in me to push me another way. And sometimes it's like that, even with my son. I tell my son, do this or try this. I might can't get to him. It might take somebody, because I'm his father. It might take somebody like you or somebody else.
Gotta be back away from, because you might be too close to it.
Yeah,
you can't see the picture when you're too close to it.
True, but what it is, no matter if you a father or a relative or anybody, if you got genuine love for somebody, you're gonna tell them to do better.
True,
and that's me as a big bro. I try to tell my little homies or whatever, I try to push them to do better.
But what I will say, that goes back to our earlier conversation about the parents who could kind of possibly be in competition with their son. And if it's a mother or a father that's in competition with you, then homeboy on the streets, he don't give a fuck about you.
True.
Like if his mom Duke's like, look, I'm trying to see if I can motherfucking get the dude that she trying to get, or I don't want my son to do better than me because I ain't shit.
True.
What you think motherfucker outside is thinking and feeling?
Exactly.
And so,
they'll pitch you in some shit, man.
Yeah.
So you could get jammed up and get out the way.
Because it's an old adage. They always say, man, I want you to do good, but just not better than me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Motherfuckers say that shit. But so when you got, you passed your test, the graduation, and you got onto the force, you kind of moved up the ranks kind of quickly. So, like,
I ain't gonna say I
moved
moved
quickly.
I ain't say I was at that point. I had a little political ties with certain people, so that kind of hurt me too a little bit on the force, because you unfortunately you got a lot of those white cops that's Caucasians that's they never lived in Newark, and that was a requirement. You had to live in Newark, and I'm in the academy. Like, where the fuck you live at? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of y'all lived in the East Ward, you know what I'm saying? Or the North Ward, because I lived in all of them besides the East. So where you been? But honestly, it goes back to saying they knew you only had to have a high school diploma, and you come to Newark and you can make over 100,000. So they did by right getting their kids in there. Yeah. They coming out of town
bringing
them in. Yeah. And something that we don't do. So then you got those that, like I said, they come here 8 hours, they make our money and they go. They don't really have no invested or interest in the city.
And that's what they kind of say on a national scale, that will possibly help out, things that happen. Like if you have someone that's, like you said, born in the community, invested in the community, they would kind of police the community with a much better, a softer hand.
I brought this, not to cut you off, I brought this up, and this is one of my things, is another thing that is my vision in Newark, is that bring that back. Just like we give developers tax credits. If you a police or a fireman here, let them pay a certain low percentage. Let them adopt the block. Like we used to have this, when I came on, we had this officer next door program. If we see a house that's abandoned and HUD owns it, we get to buy for 50%. Long as we lived there for 5 years and there. So think about it. If you got more cops living here and some bullshit on the block, you can't, like I lived in Newark. I lived in Newark all my life since I was a cop, you know, and people knew I lived on that block. Yeah, they called me and anything happened, you know, but at the same time, they also, even the homies out there knew, nah, we can't do this, or we X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And if you had more of that, then people would want to be more involved and know what's going on. Yeah. We need to bring those initiative things back here for the people, man.
Yeah, that's
you think? True. I think some get lost because, from what I understand, most police that police the area they in is not from that area. Like they from somewhere else. So
yeah,
they don't have.
The point.
Yeah, they don't have that love, that
connection.
It's not like even getting out the car. Just like don't stay in the car. Walk the block. You see your neighbor, they know. Oh, that's Officer Johnson. Yeah, he's always out here. You know, you get to know the neighbors. Yeah. You know.
And there's always this kind of dynamic with the police because a lot of people, and I said this before, like it's always F the police until you need the police.
Yeah.
But if you could establish those relationships and open communications back and forth, like, and just be like a cool person, like you don't gotta throw your power around, but look, like he said, walk the block, like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You making sure people alright, like you waving at motherfuckers, you talking to people, like you probably went to school with my dad and shit, like, you know what I mean?
And then so, like summertime, motherfuckers cooking out, you be eating with them, you be chilling with them, like they gonna take care of you because you also gonna need them to take care of you like, too.
I don't necessarily know how to fix it, but I just know that, you know what I mean, in our communities, it's just like it's definitely a disconnect.
I felt comfortable with the police that I knew that genuinely wanted to do good, and they came around and they was familiar. Like I knew them, so I didn't.
Because it was kind of like a respect thing too.
I respected what they did.
Yeah,
like, you know
it's kind of like a respect thing. Like, so if I see you, like, bro, I'm gonna keep that shit, or I'm gonna move that shit down the street. Like, I'm not about to be blatantly and be all in front of your face because I would be.
Because now that's disrespect,
and that's how it was. Like that's what I established relationships. I knew who was the dealers out there, but they knew when I was out there. They wasn't out there. Exactly. They respected me enough not to do that.
Okay.
And trust me, there's a lot of internal stuff that goes on in the police department with other officers. If you ain't hooking up with this group, if you ain't about doing this and doing that, and then you'd be surprised that community will come out for you.
Yeah.
You know. So.
And so as far as taking tests within like the precinct or like the force, like what kind of like pulled your coattail to kind of like doing that, like to want to not like be on the beat anymore?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. In 2005, I was off. I had twisted my ankle and I was out sick. And the police department has a policy when you're out sick, you know, they could call you.
They gotta call you wherever you
check it, whatever. Or when you leave, you gotta tell them. So this particular time, it was a Saturday, it was New Year's Eve, and I went to the store, and as I was going to the store, a friend of mine, she had a clothing line, a boutique on Lyons Avenue, and she was like, "Yo, Lonzo, come by real quick. I gotta talk to you." And I was like, "All right, cool." I was like, "I'll stop by." I just ran to the store real quick, and I was never that cop to carry my gun off duty. I was just never really carrying it.
Yeah. So
I stopped by this time I had my gun, and when I got there, you know, talking to my best friend, and he like, "Yo, what's up? What you doing in the New Year?" And I'm like, "I'm not doing anything." And she had one of those stores where front is glass front, but I'm not looking at it, and you got to be buzzed to get in. And when I got to the door, I'm like, "I'm not doing nothing tonight." The door met me like, "Come in." Somebody said, "Come in." So then I looked down, I see the guy got a gun right there on the side, and I looked through the glass. Which you could see the cash register where she at. The guy had a gun at her.
So he was robbing the store.
And the guy was in the middle bagging up the merchandise. So I'm like, oh snap. So I sprinted off from the door, and there was a hair salon next door. I told the lady, "Look, I'm a cop, call for backup." And I heard the guy at the door say, "Yo, we gotta get out of here." And when he ran out, he ran on the street. It was bystanders walking by. And I didn't realize it was a getaway car right there too on the street. And when he saw me, he looked at me, and he took a shot at me. And when he took a shot at me, it was no fear. It was like, it's either me or them.
That's when that adrenaline and that training, all
And
that.
he shot at me as the other two was running. And what I did, it was a car, and it was the getaway car in the middle of the street. It was a van right there. So when I got to the van, I heard all of them shooting at me. Boom, boom, boom. That van was rocking. Boom, 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 boom. And when they got in the car, I jumped in the middle of the street and I just started shooting at the car.
Yeah.
And then he was shooting back. And people thought I got hit because my ankle was twisted, but it wasn't. So what happened was that Eternal Affairs came, and nobody got hit right then and there. But instead of asking me like, you okay? Let's get you to the hospital. They was like, did you call and let them know you left? And my whole morale was changed after that. Yeah. My whole morale was changed. Okay.
And so that was like, I need to separate from at least.
Being a cop anymore at that time was like, I'm just going to do my time to get out of here.
Yeah, okay.
It wasn't like, I didn't look forward to going to work.
You wasn't invested in it kind of. Now, at that point, it was just like, it's a paycheck.
Because not only had to worry about what happens out in the street, I got to worry about,
It's like y'all on my ass.
Yeah.
Like y'all basically
and they suspended me for that.
Okay.
Like, not worrying about, was I okay, my mental, where was I at with that? It was just like, yo. So
did you fucking call?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like they be so much of a stickler to policies and shit like that. But
yeah. To who they want to.
Yeah.
And who they can get away with,
And I just feel like you can't really lead with that. I say this all the time. A lot of these companies, and I'm sure it's definitely quite different in the force, but like they don't really do things to lift up the morale of the employees.
Yeah. Like,
it's like, why you on my ass, bro? Like, I would be such a better motherfucking 10 times better worker. Like, if y'all just, the mics. Like, I would be just such a 10 times better worker. Like, if y'all just was like, happy around this motherfucker or like not doing bullshit.
True.
But, yeah, it is what
so
it is,
that's,
man.
at that point, it wasn't like, coming to work, trying to push myself. It was just come there and do bare minimum.
So at that point in time, it was just like you going through the motions.
Just like going through the motions. The one thing I knew I was always good at was I was always good at trying to encourage people. Yeah. So, at that time, I got transferred to the cell block, which they said that's punishment, working down there with the inmates. But actually...
And so this was like Green Street?
Green Street.
Okay.
So I was on Green... I was sent there in 2005, and I stayed there all the way to about... I'm going to say to like 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, so it worked out for me because a lot of people are, you see the homies coming in there that you grew up with, and you see, a lot of people coming in drug addiction and all that. But I was able to mentor to a lot of people.
Jokers yelling, trustee.
Yeah, trustee.
Green Street was nasty.
Yeah, it was nasty. It's definitely.
After a while, they started having hella bed bugs and everything.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, they had to do something with that thing, but
But yeah, it gave me opportunity to just do the work, talking to people and encouraging people. And, when I did leave there, like a lot of people pull up on me and be like, yo, I just want to tell you, man, I appreciate you for not treating me like the others down there. Or because at the end of the day, we all human, man. We all have addiction to something. It could be drugs. It could be sex. It
money,
could be,
women.
And you know what? Some people just had a bad, some people just had a bad deal. Like, we don't know their story.
Exactly.
We don't know how they got hooked up. Like back then, drugs was like, hey, you got some people, I heard stories where they were so strung out, they want the drugs so bad, they gave up the kid. Mm-hmm. These are stories real, man. And that's why when I got into the film thing, because I got a lot of stories I could tell.
Yeah. Excellent segue. And so you transition from your career in law enforcement and you got into the film industry. Was that an easy process for you? No,
because like I said, it was never. I never thought about it.
What made you? If you never thought about it, what made you be like, all right, I want to try this?
So I'm gonna tell you. So 2010, I met this guy named Bink. And Bink, at that time, independent films it was coming up. It wasn't too much. So he did this movie called Cash Rules. And that's when like it had like Tretch, Notori, JD. He had Do It all these upcoming actors at the time. They was all from here, and he did this movie, and it wasn't shot very well, but he got it done. Yeah, and he did it. He got to deal with Koch Records at the time, which came E1, and I think they gave him like $100,000 for that, and he was like, "Yo, man, like I met him, and he was like, yo, like I got this movie I want you to invest in, and, let's get down." And I was like, not really interested. Yeah. So I was never one of those urban books readers.
Oh, you ain't fuck with the hood books?
I wasn't a reader, period.
Okay.
Like I remember 6th grade, I had to read this book called Catcher in the Rye. Yeah. And that was a classic, and I read it. Matter of fact, it was in my high school year, sophomore year. I read it, and I was like, it was a good book. Yeah. Then I had to read another book, Ordinary People, but I only read it because I had to do a book report on it. Exactly. So then I started reading. It was this guy from Newark, Al-Sadiq Banks.
Okay, he wrote what, Dutch?
He wrote Block Party.
Block Party 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, Exit, Sincerely Yours. Yeah. So I started reading. His book. Okay. And I was like, damn, at the time I was working on Broader Market. All right. So I had that little, remember the little police booth that used to be there? Yeah. That was my post, 3 to 11. Okay.
Right so, there by the one bus stop right there.
So soon after 7 o'clock, it got dead. The store's out. Ain't no activity. So I'm reading. And I'm like, it became page turner. Like, damn, reading, getting it. So I started reading his books. Terry Woods' books, Dutch. Yeah. Dutch was a classic. Like, wow, you start living it. Like, damn, the Stolen Car, Regime, and all them. So you start reading these books, and I'm like, damn, everybody got a story to tell. It's all about how you tell your story. Yeah. So that's when I got me a notebook and I started writing, Living with No Regrets. Okay. And so I remember my man Bink came to me again, like, yo, I'm about to do this movie, and I was like, man, listen, I wrote this book. If any movie I'm going to invest in, I'm going to invest into mine. Yeah. Because I had the vision, but I knew nothing about film. I just, I did an independent book signing, and people started buying it. It just started doing well, and they started saying the book was good. So I wound up, met this film producer, and he was telling me he could help me shoot the movie, and, you met one person. I met somebody that introduced me to Tretch. Okay. And when I told the Tretch, I was like, yo, I got this book. It's about my man who, got killed. I think that you're good for the role. And he read the book, and he was with it. And, I got a little budget together, and I shot it, man. Yeah. And I fell in love from taking the idea, putting it on paper, to finishing. It was just fun doing it. Like, it was stressful because I'm not knowing the business. I'm relying on people, but you in it and you meeting people and you see how you bring out their range. And, it was just a fun project where that became a passion. And I just jumped into it from film after film, man. Yeah. Just started doing it. And, it was like, it just became a fun thing.
So what was that? Go ahead. That was 2013?
2013. We shot our first film.
All right. So that being said, I didn't get a chance to get into that film because I automatically went to King of Newark.
Yeah, so that was the prequel for King of Newark.
So now I gotta go back because I got mixed up, and I saw King of Newark. Yeah, so when it first came out, I saw it, but I had to go back and. So
that's Malcolm Graves coming up from when he was born to his street days.
I need to see it. Yeah. I need to see it.
Yeah. See, that's what it is. You jump in these movies not knowing is there going to be another one because it was just the movie thing was like honestly the book and the movie was like, and it was accomplishment for me. It was like you know what, I did police officer. I wrote a book. I did a movie. Yeah. But when I fell in love doing it, it was like I never knew there was going to be a part two.
Lead to another one and another one.
Exactly. Just started doing it.
That kind of brings me to my next question because you said in the first one it was like Malcolm's introduction.
Exactly.
Like the arc of his story. But like as I was watching the movies, part 1 and part 2 and then part 2 of part 2. Yeah. It's like you can see these character arcs as they grow up and these characters change. Like even your little brother, how he starts off as a young punk hustling, and then he's like a mayor's assistant. He's trying to do little side things. But like that part to me is just so amazing. Like the characters, I feel like they was written so well. Because
you could develop. That's where you get the when you continue. You get the like 50 did. You could develop the character now. You could tell. You could take one of those characters and just create his own story, his own show,
a spinoff.
Yeah. So but I didn't think like that at first. Like because like you said, King of Newark. King of Newark too. People don't know really. I mean, unless you've seen the first one to know that Living with No Regrets is the prequel to all of that.
I found that out.
It's like the hero origin story.
Yeah. So if I knew that, I would have laid it out better. But just jumping into stuff and just learning as you go, you start to see the vision now. So now moving forward, if I continue, I know how to say, well, we're going to start this story, or this is the way we're going to go.
Exactly.
Okay, so your first movie was that, and then you jumped into King of
Newark. Yeah.
So I can't talk about the first movie because I didn't see it. I am going to go back and backtrack.
Oh, absolutely.
But what I wanted to say is, for that kind of movie, it had a lot of credible actors and a lot of different personality, music, rappers. How did you tap in exactly to getting that pool of people to tap into to do and kind of
bring them together?
I'm doing it,
So, like I said, my first film, I met a director, and he had a camera, and I actually was like, you know what? I know you got a camera. I think he had a Canon. He had a Canon. Canon. What was it? Canon Magic. Canon something. Everybody was and I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna buy a camera. Because at that time, first film, the new camera out was like the Canon 5D.
Okay.
So I bought the camera for him. And like I said, not knowing everything else, though, you're talking about sound. You got him; he's the camera guy. He got one assistant helping him with sound, and we all helping with lighting.
And what you say, sound is the most important. Is more
sound and lighting. Like you got one guy, we outside holding the thing. I mean, I don't know nothing about this stuff, so I'm relying on him. And there were so many mistakes, but he was dedicated and he was loyal enough to get it done. Because some people started and then they never finish it. Yeah. So we got that done. So here it is. Living with No Regrets. We got it done. We had a lot of star power in that one because, like you said, I had met Tretch, and then I met Mark John Jeffries, who played Little Isaiah and the Little 50 Cent and Get Rich or Dying. Then my man James Paris, I met him, who played in Belly. If you remember when they was at the table and he was like, what? And he shot him at the table and walked away. So my man James Paris,
know how to bag up, then give money.
So him, my man, he became like, we started off rocky, but then he became resourceful to me. He was like, yo, I'm gonna put you on some people. He introduced me to Mano. Okay.
He played a very good part. I see Keisha from Belly. I'm like, hold up. And then you had Pinky.
So then I met Vita from the Ink. And she connected me with Charlie Baltimore. Okay. And Charlie Baltimore connected me to AZ. So all of them was in part one. I had Black Rob in there. So, it was all up. So now it was like, all right, what's the next project? And I'm like, if I'm gonna come right, I'm gonna come strong. Because remember, I don't know, did you ever see the Zoo movie?
I might have.
Yeah.
I felt like I might have.
Do It All did a movie with the Zoo crew. It was the Zoo.
So I don't think I saw that one. The other one that I saw with
Do It All was definitely
Dirty Game.
Oh yeah, Dirty Game was like one of the biggest independent film movies that hit Newark.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm looking at him, Samad, my other than them, like, I gotta come right. I gotta come right. I'm new into this game. I'm learning the game. So now I'm meeting somebody. My man Usman Sharif. He plugged me in with. I met Clifton. I was able to get book him, Clifton Powell. Then I got I met Omar Gooding. Somebody connected me with him and Jason Weaver. So it was like, because, at the end of the day, it's like, for a movie to take off, you got to have some type of name recognition. That's the company is going to look for. Okay. They looking like, who can we market this to?
And to your point, we was having a conversation earlier.
Yeah.
And I was saying that I felt as though a movie didn't really kind of need that, as long as it kind of had good writing. And
it don't need it, but it's going to help it if you got the...
It's like this. Listen, I learned now, getting up to the 11th film and 10th film, I was like, I'm not looking for that kind of star power. Yeah. Yes, if you have the budget. If you don't, get some good actors, shoot it well. Yeah. The storyline, like you said, and everything else matters.
And to your point, so you did have, a lot of well-established actors, but you did have a lot of people throughout the city.
Yeah.
And like that is the part that I was actually more so gravitating towards, because it's like recognizable names, people that I actually been outside with.
Yeah. Crystal De Niro, I seen her in there.
It was some of my strong people.
Coming from me, like definitely opportunity, man. Yeah. Like I start this. Why not? You got people here that never knew or like myself, I never knew I was going to be a film director. But look, I'm a film director. I didn't go to school for that. So you got people that had the talent, and we need to showcase that talent. 100%. We have the artists, we have the actors. Yeah. Film start here in Newark, to be honest with you. But how many people know that? Yeah. So I started seeing that, and that's why later on in the game, like the last couple projects, you might have one or two probably personal that been out there, but everybody else been homegrown. That taking this, that really stepping up, getting the lessons, that's carrying the projects, getting the opportunity. And then I started looking at paying attention to Dennis Reed, what he did in Detroit. Yeah. Like, during the pandemic, when Tubi really blew up, we blew up because everybody was watching Tubi. Yeah. And all it was those Detroit actors. Yeah. Now they stars. They getting booked all over $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a day, and that's how they made their living. You talking about girls? You took off the dancing pole. Yeah. Guys that that was doing other stuff. They invested into their own films. Well, now they making money now, and that's what I did. My wife,
the Tubi, don't sleep on Tubi. Don't discredit Tubi. It's big things going on over there.
Yeah, I mean, you have some movies that got up on there, but you know what? They doing it the best way they could. It's up to the platform.
Trying, though, but like you said, you had to start somewhere.
Yeah, they believe. Anytime when you take your own money, man, and you invest into yourself to do something, you can't knock that person, man.
That's the way I feel.
Yeah, man.
I
mean, I know that this person project looked better and it get better versus this, but he did it. He tried it and believe it. Now, if you keep on doing it that way, then shame on you, because me, if I wasn't getting better at my craft, then what's the purpose? Yeah.
And speaking of getting better at your craft, one thing that I noticed about, and my point of reference is pretty much the same as his, because we started from like the same place. But in the first one, I didn't notice that much of a soundtrack. With the second one, I kind of noticed it was artists from the community, and you had a soundtrack that was
a mixtape.
Exactly.
I heard dope instrumentals and dope songs.
So, like, what kind of went into that? Was it just like the first time I didn't know, and then now I kind of know, so let's add something to color it up?
Well, pretty much, to be honest with you, like, I'm a one-man team. Like, you have people around you, so I want to help out, I want to be a part of this. Yeah. But it was like, what are you getting? A lot of people looked at me like I just had money like that. And, you had girls. Like, I used to be, like, at my house, I love to cook. So I used to have people come over, I cook for them. Then Martini Bar was our spot. We go there, have our meetings. And I'm like, everybody inviting other people. And I'm like, I'm getting hit with the bill every month. I'm like, nah. And then it was like, you start to see the leeches. Yeah. And it's like, wow, like, do you have the same vision as me? Because if you have the same vision, everybody know if I own 100%, I give it out. Yeah. Let's eat together. Exactly. As long as we keep producing content, And each movie, people was coming and going.
Yeah.
You know, I was hearing the gossip, the hearsay,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't need that. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I'm taking a chance on my money, on the money that I do have. Let's make it and build it. And people didn't have that same vision. They had hidden agendas.
Exactly.
So, Living with Regrets, when I had a banging soundtrack, just imagine. I had Tretch, I had Charlie Baltimore, I had Vita, I had Black Rob, you know what I'm saying? AZ, you know.
In 2013, that was lit right then too.
Exactly. That was like, you know, come on, 90s hip hop right there.
Still in the golden era.
Still. So imagine if I would have had them on the track or just had the songs right on them. Mano was fresh out. We would have been killing. So doing too much. Then the second movie, it was DJ June that came to me and was like, yo, let me do a mixtape for you. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. That helped promote the artist, promote the music and stuff like that. But still wasn't really thinking about the soundtrack. Thinking like, might work, extra money. So wound up doing that. That helped King of Newark got the buzz. You know, mixing the little stuff, storyline. Clifton Powell was saying something before the track and then the music. Okay. So that helped. And then same thing with part 2. But when it came to King 3, this guy named producer Stan, I had met him in King of Newark. He came out as an extra, and this artist named Rilla Gage had brought him to my attention, and he was like, "Yo, King 3, you got to do a soundtrack." And I was like, "Word," and he was like, "Yo, let me produce the soundtrack. I'm not asking for no money. I just want to do this because I believe in you."
To
he was
make
like,
it better. Yeah.
And see, you don't get that often. Everybody, how much you pay? Oh, what's your budget? And he did it, man, and we got, you know, like 5 mics on there. We got Rilla Gage. We got
because I actually
King
saw
Tiger
him in the trailer. He was moving around.
So you know, it was a couple artists. Like I said, I want to get back. Pulled in the girl that came, casting over Red, Sincere, and I said, look, let's make it happen, and it's gonna help. So with that happening in this movie's fire, man. The movie fire. It's like,
I'm definitely, because I'm invested now. I definitely,
I am too. And not for nothing, I seen the growth in each movie, and then I wasn't expecting to get like so tuned in to what's going on. So now I'm actually anticipating. I want to pop out. I want to see. I ain't finished. It's probably like about 30 minutes. Not finished of the last part two. Yeah. I was trying to squeeze it in, but when as soon as I go back, I'm getting that out the way, and then, you know, I can't wait for the 10th, 11th. We lit.
But that's a question, Zoe, that I do want to ask. And so, what kind of went into the thinking of, I got part 2. Instead of making the second part of that part 3, I'm gonna just name it part 2 of part 2.
So all right. So let's back up. So King of Newark, it was shot it was a movie. Yeah. So at that time, I was, you know, shopping around, trying to make bigger connects, because with Living with No Regrets, we got a Redbox deal. Okay. Remember Redbox is out. I remember that. So they bought up, like, you know, 10,000 copies and put them everywhere. And they made, and that's how Redbox really blew up. And then Amazon at that time, because a lot of people hit me up, I saw it on Amazon Prime, but Amazon Prime was paying like 15 cents a minute at the time, which was a lot of money. Yeah, at the time.
Shit, you gotta think, it's shit averaging 145, 147. So
so it was. But then they got, like I said, they got hip to the game. They're making money on 5 movies. Then they went down to paying us a penny an hour. Damn. So I was like, I'm not doing that. Yeah, strictly wild. Then that's when Tubi came in. Okay. And Tubi was paying decent, but Tubi owned by Fox. Yeah. And now there's so much content in there. It's like it's saturated.
You can get lost.
Yeah, you get lost because your movie ain't, you know, unless it stands out.
To the front.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, you know, now it's competitive. I mean, times goes. What's going to be next? Yeah. You know, so we still trying to get to the bigger wigs, the BETs. You know, everybody wanted to get to that. I'm just, as long as if it's a platform they make money, I don't care.
Exactly.
You know,
that's we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
But what I was saying was that, so I met this guy who was telling me that series was popping. He was like, yo,
like episodic.
Yeah, so he was like, when we do King of Newark as a series. So I was like, all right, cool, we can break it down, and we did that. We had 8 episodes, 30-minute series, and nobody picked it up. Nobody picked it up, so it was like, oh man. So we did this into a series. Then
now I got all this content.
So I took it down from one distributor, and when I put it back up, I just said, since it was so long, we just said we're gonna do King 2, Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah.
So that's what we put it up as. But then that hurts too, because people might watch King 1 and not realize there's a second part to it.
Yeah.
Or some people might watch King 2 Part 2 and not realize
it was one before that they probably should have watched in the
So
series.
now King 3 is talked about. So I'm like, damn, the script is kind of long. Which way we go? And the movie is long.
Yeah.
The movie is actually, when we finished, it was 2:45.
Okay.
So we like, damn. Now there's long movies. I mean, but you talking about Transformers,
Yeah.
Malcolm X.
You talking about
kind of has that built-in equity
you
from
got
years and years.
you got to be able to keep it the audience. And I'm like, do we do this as a 2-part? But how you gonna premiere a 2-part movie? Because I did that with King 2. We did King 1 through episodes 1 through 4.
Okay.
And the people that came out 1 through 4 wasn't the same audience that came out through 5 through 6 through 8.
So they was a little lost. It wasn't able to follow along.
So I said, listen, man, the movie 2:45. My man chopped it down. He looked at it. He chopped it down to 192. So we was like, all right, it's 2 hours. That's cool.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, it's missing elements in here. So I wound up bringing it to 220.
Okay.
Which ain't bad.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's a good 220. I have to say, it's not. It's like it's going to entertain you. What's next? Yeah, it's like we get to the point. It ain't dragging. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be it's a 2 hour 20 movie, but it's going to be good. But this is probably the best movie. Shot well, sound well. Everything is good.
Okay.
I think this is it.
So this is your 11th time actually producing.
This is the 11th film.
And so were you more hands-on from a directorial standpoint of, bring the light closer, sound man, this, that, and the third? Like, were you more hands-on with that part of it?
Well, this one, so out of all the films, out of all the 10 films that I've done, this is the first film I actually am the director.
Okay.
I never directed
any of the
I was
previous projects.
I was always the producer,
Okay.
or executive producer. And a lot of people ask me, "Wow, why you don't direct your projects?" Because I felt like I needed to learn. Like, people think, "Oh, I'm a director." You're not a director.
Yeah. Because you don't even know what it is. Like, you gotta kind of look back and see what it takes to direct before you can actually come into the job and do it.
Yeah, you can say, "This is my vision.
Yeah.
This is the way I want it." But a director, can you do a storyboard?
You got to know how to translate.
Can you give me a shot list? Yeah. Can you do this? Can you do Yeah. And I didn't want to take a title until I knew somewhat what I was doing. Yeah, I don't like to step in water where I don't know how to swim. Yeah. Where I definitely know I'm gonna get stuck and I can't get myself out of. Okay. So this is the first movie. Alonzo Herran is the director.
Okay.
So
it's dope.
And I felt like, it was hard because even other movies, I took myself out of the last 2 movies that are coming out. I took myself out of the acting part of it because that was never really my vision. Being that Malcolm was somewhat my story, I didn't. When we first started casting for Little With No Regrets, I'm looking at these people come, I'm like, nah, this person is not me. Nah. So it was a guy saying, well, won't you do it? Won't you try it? And you had others was like, he can't hack. He's not going to do it. Yeah. And I tried it, and I just, it's me. This is my character.
Exactly.
That's how I wrote Malcolm. This is me.
Yeah.
So this one was hard because now you're directing and you acting, and I had to carry the story because I started off at King of Newark.
Exactly.
So this one was challenging. It was very challenging, but we got it done, man. We got it done, and I'm happy.
And so we have been doing this for the past several months, and to get an interview or a podcast guest lined up with just 2 people or 3 people, it's been hell. And so you have a cast of 30 or more people. How challenging was that? Can you speak to how challenging is that? Especially when, I don't know, like, as far as budget-wise, like, are some people working, like, pro bono or whatever, but, like, how can you get the people to be there on time to shoot and things of that
Get them all on the same page.
Well, it's like this. It's when we talk back when we was kids, the structure.
Yeah.
See, I created a structure.
Yeah.
To the point, remember, I'm responsible for, I don't have a team. I had certain people that did help out, producers. Even the producers, I'm like, do you know what it is to be a producer? Like, you know, here I am. I got to worry about the locations. I got to worry about food because I got to feed my task. I got a call sheet. I got to call them, tell them what days and times they shooting, making sure that they get there. If it's wardrobe involved, some of them wore their own clothes, or some of them we provided that. So there's a lot. So when you create the structure of, listen, when it's time to shoot, this ain't no we going to the studio, bring your girls, we smoking, cause they dab. It's times where you got that talent, like my man Fredro Starr, you know, Onyx. They love to smoke weed. They want to smoke weed on set. They want somebody that they on set, and you know. Some of them you work with, some of them you pull to the side. Listen, you know, it's business at the end of the day because you're getting paid.
Because
you know?
the clock is rolling.
The clock is rolling. Like if we book here, it's a certain time we got to be out of here. And if I go over, I got to pay. You know, and people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that you ain't start. You know, you ain't. It ain't their fault that you ain't start on time. You know, but some people understand. That's in the business. They like, all right.
Yeah, like a more so professional actor.
Yeah, they want to know. Some of them, you know, some of them's like, yo, we gonna get it done. You ain't got to pay me extra. Because some of them got their contracts. 8 hours. We still got another scene or two. Someone like, let's rock out. Like Fredro, he like, you know what? I'm here. I got you. You know, someone for it's 8 hours. Like,
it be done.
You know, what we talking about? Time and a half now. You know what I'm saying? You know, someone you got to bite dealer because sometimes when your back is up against the wall, you got to be humble. You know, 'cause I got that personality. Like like me and JoJo. One time we shoot with King 2, and I was like, yo, everybody like, fuck you, nigga. We go outside. You know what? I shut this shit down. I don't give a fuck. But then my director Jamal like, yo, chill. Like he know me, so be able to pull us both together and be like, yo, not in front of the people. Because, you know, and I had to, you know, some things I had to learn, but, you know, at the end of the day, it get heated. Which
goes back to that morale thing that we was talking about earlier.
So sometimes you got to, because if you show the team that you ain't professional or you trying to be professional, it could get caught. But a lot of times it worked because people knew girls, you know, come on set, listen, man, you know, you got to make sure that the way they talking, because I had a female, you know, guys talking about they penises and vaginas. I had to produce a girl who's one of the crew. She walked off set on me, you know, and I'm like, you know, we try to make it a friendly set, but certain topics just can't come up. Can't talk about. You know, because you don't never know it's touchy. You know, never know it's touchy. You know, it was a comment we just talking about how some vaginas are nasty. They look nasty. And she was like, oh, what you mean look nasty? You know, like, yeah, some people have babies and some people...
Somebody going to get offended.
Yeah, she was offended, you know? Because she said it too. She said, well, certain penises don't look right. We all was like, yeah, we agree. You know what I'm saying? We agree. But we didn't take it, but she took offense. She was like, I can't work here no more. And I was like, wow. You know, like, so at that point I had to cut. Listen, we was downtime having lunch or dinner, and I was just like, yo, we here to work. Let's get the movie, you know.
And so when something drastic like that happens, like how hard is it to transition when you have script, you got things like you said, the structure, the book, and it's just like we're gonna keep it pushing and move, keep the train moving.
Listen. Somebody's gonna pick up that job. We're gonna get it done. You know.
But as far as with reshoots, like if you have
there was times it was something that was shot that come to the editing, and that's with every movie. You look at like the director, you ain't pick that up. DP, you ain't get that angle. And it's like, here it is. Lonzo got to come out his pocket, get everybody want to get paid again.
Yeah.
We got to get back. But you know what? At the end of the day, because, you know, like you never hear me say this. I never say it's my movie. It's my project. And it's our project.
Because we all
did
blood,
it.
sweat, and tears.
You know, but there's some filmmakers that talk like that. My movie. Like, you know, and I'm like, yo, chill. Like, I had an argument with one of the guys that did a movie with, and I was like, yo, man, like, it's not your film, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, chill. Like, we all here, 1 o'clock in the morning, we getting it done.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? So, it's times you have to I had to swallow up, because at the end of the day, if you don't get it done, it won't get done. And then now you're putting out a project where you know somebody's going to crucify you. Like Tyler Perry, he has an audience already. He has a following. We watch his movies, we see mistakes.
Yeah.
He could do that. Mm-hmm. But I put out a project, you know, they run through that and he don't deserve a big chance.
Exactly.
You know, no. So you know, that's why I'm trying to say, these filmmakers, we watch these Tubi movies. Well, I don't even like to use that, Tubi movies. Tubi's just a platform. Yeah. We watch these movies that's on these platforms, and it's so many eras, and it's like, yo, I just try to tell them, take your time,
slow down.
I don't care. Bit. Yeah, if you only have a $500 budget, make it the best $500 that you put into it.
Yeah.
You know, that's important.
And so that's what I will ask you. With this movie being the one that you directed and you put your passion, I know your passion was into all of them, but you didn't have that hands-on kind of, look, this here, this here, this here. You had your vision, but ultimately there was a director that was doing those things.
Yeah.
So with this project, what separates this project from the ones in the past, and what makes this better, and how will this continue the legacy of King of Newark?
For one, the vision. Like when I realized when King of Newark went viral, that was the movie that went viral for, I would say, us. I don't know if it was just the word Newark. People just wanted to know what was going on. Everybody wanted to know what Newark was, but it just went viral, you know. And then part 2 came out. A lot of people didn't even know part 2 was out, and then so it was like people was looking for this, and people have been asking me, 4 or 5 years, films ago, they was like, yo, what's up? What's up when the next King out? You know what I mean? I watched King over and over. Still to this day, people like, I watched it, and I'm like, when I knew I could make a movie, because you know, we watch a movie, say, I watched it, it was good, it was all right, but I'm not watching it again. I would never watch it back. When you know you watching somebody say, I could go over and over,
you know, you got something.
You know you got something.
Classic.
So my vision, and I remember this in 2018. A brother of mine came to me about this producer from LA, and they was like, we want to make a Newark Wire. They was like, we want to make a Newark Wire. And my man was like, yo, I got the person you need to talk to, because he already did something like The Wire. So we met and had lunch, and they was like, basically, we making Newark Wire. And I told them I could do a series. You know, I could do a Newark series. I could guarantee you
dope.
5 seasons. Newark got 5 different wards. I could give you a season for each ward. You know? So they was interested. They wanted to shoot a pilot. They wanted to give me some money. And it was this Caucasian girl there with them, and she was close to my man, to a guy called my brother. And she said, they're going to use him. They're going to use him. They're going to pay him for the pilot. Mm-hmm. But they're gonna run with the story. Mm-hmm. And I said, and don't get me wrong, it was some money that really put me in the game. I was like, you know what, I could go somewhere and make some other movies. I could go somewhere else, but it was like I started the King thing. So if I could do my own. I just need the people behind me to keep pushing, and I could create more talent. I could make more actors in the tri-state area. Exactly. My mind was not thinking about just Newark; it was thinking about the tri-state, because we could build a better story. Mm-hmm. And so that's the vision. King, I wanted to finish out King of Newark 3, so I needed that to be a banger. Yeah. But I left it where now I could do like 50. Yeah. I could branch off the characters that's in
King
there.
of Newark universe.
I could do each story.
And I actually see your character, you know, Marcus Graves, as kind of like a ghost type of character. Malcolm. My apologies. But I kind of see him as like a ghost type of character, because he has those ambitions, you know, outside of just the game, but he also has his friends that's kind of popping up from downstate. They kind of keep him into the shits.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So I definitely, man, he's a smooth character, man. And I just know every chick that he get with, they just want to marry the nigga. Like yo.
And if people thought
he is the womanizer. That's what he is.
And that was the thing. Like my director at Friday when we did King of Newark, he was just like, I didn't want all of this little sex scenes and all that because I felt like honestly in all my movies, like if it don't make the movie, then don't do it because you can always
tell a story without
tell a story.
Part.
You know, you could. Me and the girl walk into the room and close the door. You know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? But and that's a lot about the Detroit movies. They like everybody fucking everybody. Excuse me, everybody fucking everybody.
It was buns going on. I saw the buns.
Yeah. But he felt like it needed. He felt like Malcolm needed to do that at that time, and we did it. So it was done. But I just felt like it's not needed unless it revolves to the story.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel like, some of those parts, it just add a splash of color here.
True. Yeah.
But it's not definitely like something that you're using to sell the whole thing. Because, like I said, it definitely has a plot. Like, it has a followable story. Like, you can pay attention and see where these guys is going, where they coming from. Like, your man's from back in the day. Like, and I say this all the time to people right now. Like, just because you clean and you trying to go to work don't mean some shit that you did in the past won't come back to haunt you if you was on some bullshit. But, I really, really definitely am looking forward to this next project, man. Alonzo, you got anything that you possibly didn't say? Where can they get these tickets? I know I mentioned Eventbrite, but is there like specific?
Right now we just have tickets on eventbrite.com. Of course, you can pay at the door, but I'm going to tell you, you know how that is. Like if you've been to any of Royal Family Films premiere, like we do bring a nice crowd out. Everybody wants to be a part of this. It's a red carpet event. We make everybody as special, get that experience. Just that feel. My next goal is to do like a Urban Oscars award that I am going to do for 2025. So that's going to be my vision after this premiere. But just come out, support anybody in the tri-state area. I'm telling you, stand up, come out, be a part of it. I know we got those that talk about it. It's not about supporting me. Support your town. Even actors and actresses that's not in this movie. You got a lot of people that say, "Oh, I ain't going to that movie. I ain't in it," and that's cool. But you know what? You never know who's going to be there. You never know who you could rub shoulders with and be in a project. It's networking. That's how you grow. A lot of times I don't like to get out, but you know what? You go there. I meet an actress. I might meet a producer. I might meet a distributor. You never know what you might do, man. Just being there and networking, and this is how you get on and grow.
Yeah, that's fire. I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I'm definitely gonna try to make it out there. I know I usually I work on them days, but I think I have a vacation coming up that weekend, so I might just take that Saturday so I can get out on that Friday joint.
Yeah, but we have two showings. We have a 7 o'clock and a 9 o'clock show.
And one is Friday.
Yeah,
so
both.
10th and 11th.
Yeah, 10th and 11th. This is our first time doing a double back to back. Never done it before. Yeah. I'm hoping that it brings more people. Like some people can't get out on that Thursday. Yeah. And then they just pop out on that Friday. But you got a 7 o'clock and you got a 9 o'clock showing. The movie's damn near worth it. So come out, support. Post it. It doesn't cost you nothing to post. The text, tell somebody about it. Yeah. Support this project. We're just trying to continue to keep opening doors, get to the gates. Lionsgate coming to Newark, and if we're not there at the gates, trust me, you're gonna be seeing others that's not like us behind them gates. Yeah. So,
and that's another thing because we can't get mad at these other folks when they buying up all the property or doing this and doing that. If we had an opportunity and we don't put our hat in the ring, so,
exactly.
Yeah, you're right about that. But I do want to ask you one other question before we get up out of here. And I feel like as a book writer, a movie maker, do you feel a need to want to tell other stories outside of, what you have been making so far, or like other genres, I would say?
Yeah. So, that was the whole point why King of Newark 3 didn't come out, because when I did Living with Regrets and then I did King of Newark, I stepped away from that because I didn't want the people to say, "Oh, all you do is the hood stuff."
Put you in that box.
So that's when came in the martial arts film, The Fearless. Then I did a faith-based film called The Father's Pride, about two sons and a pastor. I did a Second Chance, was basically about a guy that died and went to heaven, but he was an angel watching a kid. I got a comedy that's getting ready to come out called Not My Day with Mr. Commodore, his story.
Okay.
And then we got the suspense thriller 8 Enough about a 16-year-old girl being sexually abused by her father. So I stepped away.
You're touching on some real topics.
Yeah. Like, no, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not. I mean, I want to do the King, the Newark series,
Absolutely.
but no, I got plenty of other stories I want to touch on because these are things that we are experiencing every day in life.
Exactly.
That's not being told and shy upon.
Yeah.
So no. That's why I say you got to see those other movies. Roy Film Films has a catalog of films of different topics.
1000%.
Yeah.
And so, Uncontrolled Substance TV, it was kind of started as a way to be a platform that, glorifies and illuminates artists within the New Jersey sector that's doing things, and you definitely fit the bill with that, Lonzo.
Yes, sir.
You've been making your movies, you've been doing your books, and we definitely just want to say that we appreciate you for doing what you do, and we definitely appreciate you for coming on, and I want to get a list of like all your contributions into the space so I could kind of like have it run across the screen, and where they could find your movies, and so that would help to try to, I guess, promote and to lift up. And once again, everybody, y'all come out to the Cineplex. It's going to be April 11th at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. and also on the 10th. And man, it's going to be a time, man. A time will be had. King of Newark 3, ladies and gentlemen.
Brick City.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate you. So you can take us out of here.
All right. Well, this is Taj Mahal, Uncontrolled Substance TV, JoePro973, with Alonzo, King of Newark. We out of here.
Yeah.
See you. Thanks for having me.